Hi, I'm Sarah J and welcome back to my creative space. Another stunning day in Melbourne. I think it's like 37 degrees. It's been so hot and yeah, I just love the summer. It's one of my most favorite times of year, so there's no complaints here and I'm nice and cool in my cooling here. Anyway, I hope you guys are all well. Today we are going to paint some roses. I'm inspired by Valentine's Day. I think it's a really fun time of year, celebrating love. So today I'll start off with pencil, using my charcoal pencil to get the outline. Then I'll be moving into gouache. If you're not familiar with gouache, it's just a thicker form of watercolor. And then after that, I will be doing an overlay with soft pastels. And just letting you know, I do speed it up. I don't actually draw and paint that fast. And stay tuned, at the end I'll be sharing my thoughts on the painting and how it went. Let's get to it. So we're using Montmartre watercolor paper, an A3 size. It's got a really nice texture. We're also using my Progresso pencil, which is fantastic. It creates a nice line without smudging the paper. So I'm starting off, first of all, getting my outline of the roses into my picture. I've already decided the composition. I really want the two roses to fill the whole piece of paper, and so I am now just getting that outline in there. I like to work fairly quickly, getting my outline in. I can always use an eraser to fix up any of the lines that I feel aren't right. Now putting the leaves in. It's always nice to have leaves around roses. That's how you would see them in nature. And I've got my eraser there. My inspiration for today was from the Adelaide International Rose Garden when I visited last year. So I'm starting off with my gouache. I've got this beautiful pale green color here, and I've got my favorite pointed paintbrush. I like a pointed paintbrush. I can do pretty much anything with a pointed paintbrush. I don't enjoy the flat brushes as much. I do use them on larger canvas acrylic paintings, but with these sort of style paintings and drawings, I do like to use a nice point, a medium-sized point. I think this is a number 12. Yeah, so this was from a visit to Adelaide last year, and I came across these beautiful pink roses in the rose garden. There was literally thousands of roses, and look how beautiful they are. So pretty. It was a really, really hot day, and yeah, we just wandered through the rose garden and enjoyed looking at all the different colors. There was bright yellows and reds, lots of pinks. But when I came across this one, I thought this was special, and I noted to myself, I want to paint this one, hence why I took some photos and videos. So I've got some titanium white and a beautiful deep red, which I'll mix together to make my pink for the rose petals. It's carmine red. But as long as it's a deep red and more towards a pink color hue, a blue hue rather than an orange or a yellowy hue. I've always loved roses. I think roses for me always say love. And when I was thinking about Valentine's Day this year, I thought, yeah, I'm definitely painting those pink roses from the garden that I saw in Adelaide. So I'm just starting to work through the layering now with the soft pink. The key thing here is looking where the lightest parts of the flower is and where the sun is hitting the flower, and ensuring that you are creating the right highlighting. painting is so therapeutic. It's such a pleasure to paint. You can literally spend hours in your little painting world and not even know what's going on. So anyway, I've got the carmine red coming in now. I haven't actually mixed it with any other color. I'm just using water really to make sure it's not too thick. So I'm going into the deeper shadow areas now. There is one rose just at the top of my picture, which you can just see. Sorry, my camera slightly chopped it off. It's always a little bit tricky when you're trying to record. Do you like to get roses? I love getting roses. And you know, sometimes you just buy yourself roses. If you don't have a significant other, just go out and get yourself a bunch of roses and treat yourself this Valentine's Day. Have you painted roses before? You should definitely give this a go. It's really, really interesting because you can paint roses using lots of different techniques. People use different brushes and different, I guess, approaches. For me, I'm more impressionistic, so I'm just looking at more of fast impressionist strokes. So now I'm drying off the gouache. Important to dry it off before I bring any more layers in, which I'm referring to soft pastel layers. You could just go off and make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or if it's later, have a glass of wine. So I'm now bringing in my pastels. I've got my 48 Soft Pastels by Faber Castel, which is very vibrant colors. I've also got my other pastel box, which is a Rembrandt. It's a fairly old one, but it's in really good nick. It's a nice soft pastel range, and I love the pinks in this, so I thought that would be good to use for this painting. So I just start off doing some layering, bringing in different elements of pink over the carmine red. I think with soft pastels, you just got to experiment. So I've developed my own personal style, but pastels, you can use in lots of different ways. You can use them sort of more realistic paintings, I suppose, less impressionistic. You can use it with water as well and create like a watercolor effect, which I might actually do at some stage, just to show you the different ways you can use the pastels. It's interesting because when you do general drawing in art school, they teach you a lot of different mediums, and the mediums that I loved the most were charcoal, acrylic paint, and pastels. And then as I continued through life, I discovered gouache as well, and I liked gouache because gouache, you get a slightly more vibrant color than watercolor, I find, and I feel like it works really well with pastel layering. So now I'm bringing in like a purpley color here, just to create some more layers. Using my fingers to smudge, but you can use different things. You can use different tools such as paintbrushes, Q-tips, tissues. You could use cloth. Yeah, so you can just be, I guess, creative and try different things, but always recommend trying before you actually do your drawing. So that's always worth doing a bit of experimenting before. The thing about pastels is they're quite messy when you're doing it, and So you do have to constantly be wiping your hands and washing your hands. And you have to be careful because, you know, like we actually do have lives. I'm just bringing in another red here. And yeah, so you can be picking up your phone and touching things like computers and clothes. So please make sure you always have a cloth, especially if you go out. Take a little water bottle, some cloth or some baby wipes, and then you'll be fine. So yes, I'm just bringing in some deeper lines here, creating a bit of layering with the insides of the roses. The thing I love about art is people see things differently. So another artist might see the rose in a slightly different way. And that's what's so great when you're working with other artists, is you get to see their interpretation of exactly the same object or person. So I'm bringing in some white here to create some lighter highlighting. I'm really just developing the shapes of the roses and the petals, creating depth and dimension. I try to have a bit of a balance between linear lines and like blended lines. I think it's more interesting, and I think it creates more texture and depth. I'm really happy with the colors now. They're really starting to come together. When you're drawing with pastels or any paints, you know, you may not have an exact color that you want, but you can really make it fairly close to what you want, and you can improvise. In this particular picture, I decided to keep the leaves quite simple and really just focus on the roses as the key part of this painting. So I really wanted the eyes just to really go towards the roses, but the green leaves are a nice sort of background. So I'm bringing in the yellow. So there was definitely yellow within these roses, and I definitely saw yellow when I looked at the picture again after the visit. And I think yellow is a really great highlight. I like to use yellow in my highlights because I feel like it creates a sense of warmth. Yellow is just a happy color. It's just joyful, and I think it really contrasts nice with the pink. So I've actually got two different yellows that I'm using from the different packs. This one was slightly brighter, and I really wanted to get some really bright leaves going here. I think yellow and green is a really strong combination. You know, you could just do more white in here, but again, I think it just brings the whole picture together, and I think it creates an interesting picture. So I'm just doing my finishing touches now. I don't want to labor with this one. I want to leave some things slightly undone, so not everything is going to be filled in. I think it's just more interesting with pastels. Certainly how I work. Now I'm just bringing a bit more shadows and depth into the leaves. And I'll just let you listen to some music as I finish the painting. I thought we could just go through a couple of key things from the whole process. So obviously the first thing I did was to do my pencil sketch. The key thing with the pencil sketch is to do it really quick, to not labor on it. It's just meant to be a very quick outline. Then secondly, I went in with my gouache. Now, generally what I do is I have like an understanding of how I want that to go. So I knew that I didn't want to fill in all of it with gouache. I did want to give key elements of highlight with the gouache. So that was like a really good, I guess, framework for going in with the soft pastels. And so with the soft pastels, I really tried to keep it very much in the pink theme because that's really what I wanted to do. But I did obviously go in with my yellow, which is clearly in the rose itself. There's elements of yellow in there. Everyone approaches these things so differently. So I'm more of an impressionistic painter and artist. So I like to sort of build up levels and layers with the color. And so with the darker color, I like to use generally in the same sort of hue. So pink, therefore I wouldn't go to blue, I'd more like go to purple. And then I also brought in some elements of deeper red in there as well. With the composition, I really wanted the roses to take up most of the picture. Something that I learned in art school when I was much younger is it looks really great when things go a little bit off the page as opposed to putting it right in the middle, because it feels like you're looking through a camera lens. So that's what I often do in most of my pictures is the work is actually going off the page just a little bit. I really wanted also to keep the greens very vibrant because that's how I saw them on the day. It was a really hot day. It was very bright, a lot of sun. So I really didn't labor on the leaves, but I really wanted to bring in the yellow. And I brought in the yellow with the roses and the leaves to bring everything really together. So I'm also on Instagram at sarahj.artist. So feel free to tag me if you end up painting roses. The picture brings me joy, and that's really what I was hoping for, the feeling of love and joy. It is Valentine's. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a very special Valentine's Day. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, to give me a thumbs up. And I will be sharing more soon, so remember to subscribe so you get notified of future uploads, and it also helps my channel. Anyway, until next time, have a wonderful day and see you soon. Oh, we'll see what she's up to. What are you up to, Snow Bear? Hey, gorgeous. Oh, you're a sleepy girl. Oh, my angel. My angel, yes.